My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Welcome to
4Kids Flashback.
Hi, this is Megan Hollingshead, and welcome to 4Kids Flashback. Woohoo! In case you were expecting to hear Tara Sands today, well, I'm in charge now. I have taken over the ship. I have hijacked the show for today. I've brought second in command Steve Yurko with me because he knows what's going on, and I do not. Hello, Steve.
And I am, thank you. Yeah, I'm a big fan of being a turncoat. Love sticking the knife in the back of anybody.
That's good. Did I say your name right? It's Yurko, right?
Yes.
Yurko.
Yeah.
Yurko.
Steve Yurko. I mean, I don't know. I think all those are fine. Okay. Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's too much of a stretch. But how are you doing?
I'm good. No, so I have a different hat on today. I am not going to be a voiceover artist. I am going to be an interview artist. I'm going to follow in the footsteps of the great Tara Sands, and I am going to do an interview. Do you know who with?
With is it Tara Sands?
It's Tara Sands. That was a good guess. That was a really good guess.
Cool.
So today we're turning the tables. Today, Tara is going to be the interviewee, and I have some questions that some fans wanted to ask, and I have some questions of my own. And things I happen to know about Tara, I will pretend I don't. So we will all start fresh like newborn babies. And is Miss Sands in her trailer? Is she available to come to the set? To come to the studio?
I don't know. Like she had a lot of annoying requests. Like
I know.
Like,
I know. She
only wanted an even number of M&Ms and only wanted
M&Ms.
primary colors.
She only eats diet M&Ms with xylitol. And she
all of them had to be turned upside down so that they would be W's.
That's right. That's right for the WB because it's 4Kids Flashback. So if you are listening to this and you don't want to listen to it with ads, you can subscribe to the show on Patreon, and then you get to listen with no ads. And there's also lots of other fun freebies that come along with that, like we did a Ultraman screening with a bunch of folks, and I know there'll be more fun stuff like that. So, but you can also just listen here, and it's free, but you have to listen to the occasional ad. So there's that. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and give it a like, give us 5 stars, tell all your friends, tell all your enemies. What is that? Am I quoting someone? Tell all your enemies and turn them into friends, but just listen to the podcast one way or another. Am I missing anything, Steve?
Other than that, I mean, just go to our website. That's 4kidsflashback.com with the number 4. You spell it with the number 4. You don't spell out the word 4.
Yeah, that's tricky.
That has all the information you'll need.
Yes. Aside from what I told you, which is the most important stuff. All right. Now, without any further ado, if we can bring in La Sands, if she is available, I would love to speak with her. Yay! Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Tara Sands, you beautiful creature. How have I never met you before?
Is that your, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm forgetting Martin Short's character.
Yes.
Jiminy Glick.
Jiminy Glick.
Does it sound like Jiminy Glick?
You know who does a spot on Jiminy Glick? Mike Pollock.
Mike Pollock. I know, that's where I pulled it up from. I was
So
like, It was so good.
Yeah.
He did talk about on the show how like he used Jiminy Glick to kind of find his Dr. Eggman voice.
Yes. Yes, which is so brilliant, right? Like I remember, this is all about me right now, Tara, hold on. I remember a voiceover acting teacher saying, go back to old shows, steal stuff from Mary Tyler Moore, steal stuff from the Andy Griffith Show. Like those characters were so amazing and nobody knows.
The current audience doesn't know them.
The current audience doesn't know. And also with like your voice, it's going to sound different. You know what I mean?
I just want to say what an honor it is to have been asked to be on this program. I'm a big fan of the podcast. I think your chemistry, you and Megan and Steve, just I love it.
Top notch. Simply the best.
We really do put on a good show.
I have subscribed, rated, and reviewed. So yeah, I've done all of those things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry we didn't contact you like right away.
It's a little hurt. I have a.
We just had. It's just that we had a lot more important people to interview first.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah, a lot more talented people. So, but we finally got to you.
Well, I did hack into your account. I saw that list where you put the prospective guests in order of talent.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So. Obviously, I was first, but it didn't air till later. You know how
no joke, Megan. For real, the list that I do have of interviewees, you are first on.
Aww.
You really are. Yeah.
Well, you're first on my list too.
Oh my God, you guys.
Oh my God, you guys, this is so sweet. Okay, so, a lot of people don't know. You started acting as a child. A child actor pulled from audition to audition by a evil stage mother. Is that right?
Yes.
Is that how your life
Cinderella?
began?
Not child. I was a teenager, so I sort of knew. I begged my parents to bring me to auditions. There was at the time, we've talked about this on the show before, there was a newspaper called Backstage, which probably only exists online now. And my dad worked in New York City, so I'd be like, please just buy me that newspaper you told me about. And he would bring it home and I begged them, got headshots. So that was like freshman or sophomore year of high school. And I would send my thing in or if I saw an open call for kids, I would say, please, 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 please take me into the city.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you know?
Well,
what was your connection? How did you know I want to do that?
I don't know. I mean, I just knew. Like I was doing, I was really into musicals. I mean, that was my thing. Singing, learning show tunes and singing. I begged. They took me for voice lessons and. I would do I didn't do a ton of stuff in school. I was doing kind of the stuff out of school, like classes and things like that. I took an acting class in New York that was like an on-camera class, which was really cool. Like it was stuff I couldn't have done in New Jersey, at that time at least. And then, I don't even know how I knew. I guess my dad made the mistake of telling me about Backstage because I don't know how else I would have known about it.
Right.
And then,
but no more. How did you know I want to perform? Did you? Oh, well, the truth is, this is actually interesting. So when I was young, they took me to see an off-Broadway musical called Really Rosie, written by Carole King. Such a good musical, if you guys don't know it. And one of the little girl, I think it was the little girl in the pink shorts. I think her name was Kathy in the show. She sneezed, and it wasn't part of the show. She just sneezed, and that was when I realized, oh, those are actors. That's not, she's a person. Wow.
Yeah. So I do remember that moment. And I was like, I want to do that. That's cool. That's so neat. That's a real person.
That's awesome.
So yeah. And my dad's family all kind of had the acting bug. When they grew up in the city and they all dabbled in acting or music in some way. So it wasn't like a weird thing in my family to want to do that. No one looked at me weird when I said I wanted to do that. They were like, oh yeah, of course. She's one of us.
That's so cool.
But
awesome.
Voiceover was not on my radar. That wasn't until later. Yeah.
All right. So perfect segue.
Thank you.
How did that happen? So you were the star of Annie on Broadway.
No, I wish. I wish there were certain shows that I knew like I could never be in because I would audition for like local productions of Annie, but I'm really short. Like I'm 4'11", and then I would be like too old to play the little kid. Like in Sound of Music, Amy Birnbaum and I talked about this. Like I could never play Liesel because I was too short, and they had to have like the line in the height order. So I wasn't like,
and you were old enough that you weren't going to play like Greta.
Right.
Greta.
Yeah. But, and so all I wanted to do, and that was part of the reason I didn't do a ton of stuff in school, I think, like I wanted to play age appropriate roles. Like that was like my dream. So my sophomore year of high school, I auditioned for this kids cabaret in New York City. It was like an afternoon show. It was like and where it was all kids singing the cabaret songs for kids in the audience while they would eat like ice cream sundaes.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I absolutely
love it. It was really cool. It was where
it sounds awesome.
You probably know it's I don't know what it's called now. It was at theater on 72nd Street in New York. It was Steve McGraw's for a long time, and then it was maybe it had a couple different names. You would know it if you saw it.
Yeah, it was bizarre to have a club right there.
Yeah, and Hello Mutta Hello Fado, I remember ran there for a while. Like I remember seeing that. I didn't see it. I remember seeing the sign. But like it ended up being this really cool show. It was run by a talent manager, and like Dustin Hoffman came with his kids to see it one day. Like it just there were kids who were working on Broadway in the show, and I was like, oh, cool, I get to do this.
That's awesome. What'd you sing?
A song from Really Rosie, the show that I had seen when I was a kid. Yeah.
I love that
called
so much.
Avenue P. Yeah, it was really fun. And then I don't remember the timeline, but this vocal there was a local Y near me because Jersey and everywhere, I guess. And they were having a singing class there, and it was run by this voice teacher, Robert Marks, who was like voice coach to everybody in New York. He would give you the best material for auditions. I was lucky enough that he happened to live near me in New Jersey, and I guess like as a favor to the Y, he was like, I'll do this class.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I remember the first day, he was like, introduce yourselves and tell me, what you like to do. And I was like, oh, I work on this, doing this show in New York. So I'm at the Kids Cabaret show. What was it? I can't even remember what it was called. Kids Cabaret, maybe. I don't remember. But he's like, oh, you saw that? I was like, oh, no, I'm in it. And he was like, because he had students in it. So he took me seriously. It was like really cool because he took me seriously. And he had kids, so I would babysit his kids sometimes in exchange for voice lessons. And he gave me, we also had to pay for it sometimes, but he gave me the most amazing audition material that was age appropriate. Because, like when you're a kid, you're singing like, you're singing MAME, or you're singing like what you like, and it's not appropriate. Like, if I was...
Totally.
Yeah. So he gave me this just amazing music, and then the Y had a singing competition, and I did not win. I came in second place. But there was
You were robbed.
I was robbed.
You were
I won.
robbed.
Well, I gotta say, I did it right, because I did it sophomore, junior, and senior year. And if you won, you weren't allowed to enter again. So I came in second place sophomore and junior, and then won senior year. So, whoop, whoop. I think. Yeah. I could be misquoting that. But anyway, there was a talent agent there who, wanted me to come and meet them in the office. She was one of the judges. And she put me on the phone with a voiceover agent. She's like, just talk to this person. So I just had like a normal conversation. They're like, okay, we're sending you on a voiceover audition.
You're kidding
I just had
me.
to sound like a normal teenager. And
did you know what voiceover was?
I think I probably said, what is that? And they were like, it's like the talking part of a commercial or a radio commercial. And this was a demo for a TV commercial, like, which means that it never aired. It was like the demo version. It was for Compound W wart cream.
Oh, yeah.
Because that is glamorous. And this business is nothing but glamour.
Exactly.
And I had to say something like, ew, gross, a wart. And I booked the job. Like,
I would cast you.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And they paid me, and my parents were like, okay, this you're going to college soon, you can start making, this is great, this is a job. So I started doing voiceovers. That was it.
How how long before you started doing animation?
Well, Pokemon was my first anime job because then I went to college and I still auditioned, but like
college.
But I don't. In New York, we didn't audition for a lot of animation. There wasn't a lot.
Oh yeah, no.
So
no, was that even on your radar? Were you looking for it?
Not really. I mean, I was a serious theater actor. Like I was very I just wanted
a thespian.
I was a thespian. I just wanted to work. I wanted to do TV or voiceover was. I loved it because I remember like the very first time I put on the headphones in the booth, and I was like, all I could think of was the "We Are the World" music video where they all had the headphones on. It's true. It's so true. I still think like that. Like I treat the headphones as my costume.
The best.
This is my wardrobe. And I hate when they don't want me to wear headphones. I can't stand it.
No. Because
it's not like we have other wardrobe to wear. It's like, this is kind of how I get into character.
Now I'm going to sing We Are the World every time.
You guys should see Megan.
I'm going to hold on to my cans.
We are the world. Sorry, there's no video here, but Megan looks adorable.
It's so good. Back at you. We'll do a reel.
That's the story.
No. There's obviously much more to the story. Now, tell me, what is a Pokemon? How did you go from Compound W to college to thespianism and then back to New York, right? You moved to New York?
I went to school right near New York. I went to Hofstra with our friend Lisa Ortiz. And
awesome.
I was leaving school to go on auditions. I came close to an after-school special, which I was, I wanted that so badly.
Oh, of course.
So, I was auditioning and I was like, I'm doing school, but I'm really leaving a lot. So I crammed in my class. I did graduate, but I crammed in my classes. Yeah. And I was like, I got to get out of here because I'm really just thinking about the other stuff.
Yeah.
And I got out, and luckily I had a family member with an apartment they gave me for a few months that they weren't using. So I was able to literally just move into the city. I started, doing all the other side jobs that actors do. I was going to auditions, and luckily I had a voiceover agent. So, but that's really was in that period of time. I mean, they really just and especially in New York, I really was just doing commercials. I started doing a little bit of audiobook work.
Back then?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was relatively new.
No, so I was doing it then, but less audio. I mean, you think about the time, like less audiobooks were made. There wasn't a ton of it. I was lucky enough to do some of it. Like I had a series that ran for like 17 years. We do like a book a year.
Stop it.
Yeah,
That's
it was
awesome.
great. Sammy Keys. It's such a good middle grade book for kids. So I was doing that, but again, I felt like voiceovers were kind of paying my bills so that I could do off Broadway theater at night.
Yeah.
That paid me money, and I was, I'd wake up at like 6 a.m. and go to cattle calls for shows. I was like, I was temping. I was doing kids' birthday parties. I had 80 bazillion jobs. And unlike you, Megan.
I totally relate.
Well, Megan, you would take like 3-hour lunches.
It's true. I
didn't do that. I was too scared.
I had an office job for the longest time. Yeah.
So most of my jobs were on the weekends, and then I had a regular job at an office, but it wasn't like staff, so it was a temp job, so I think I had to like clock out. Where I used to just lie to people. I worked for a headhunter, and I would.
What would you say?
Well, I would have our goal was a headhunter, so they wanted the list of names of employees at like big banks or like stock places, like stock market people, and that wasn't like easy to find. Sometimes a website had it, but that was still kind of newish, or they would like have gotten a secret book from an employee, but often they didn't know who was working there. So I would call these big banks, and I'd be like, "Hi, I want to send you guys a free subscription to this magazine. I just need to know who works in your financial services department."
Stop it!
Yeah, I just lie. It was awful.
So it is acting.
It was kind of acting.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. I'm glad you brought up.
Are you reaching for something?
Yeah, I'm reaching for my computer because I found something that made me laugh out loud.
Oh, okay. I don't write LOL, so I just say laugh out loud.
If you like, I can search the web for.
No, thank you.
I found something that
No,
made me
go away,
laugh
Siri.
out loud.
I'm keeping all this in. Not that I'm in charge of editing the show or anything.
So while I was Googling Terra Sands,
Oh, no.
as I do my research, no, where is it now?
I think I know what you're going to talk about.
Okay, I can't find it. On someone's website, you were described as the affluent Terra Sands.
Like rich?
Yes.
What? Do you think that's a typo? Like what? No. I'm trying to think. Maybe they meant effusive? I don't know. I'm trying to think what other words they could have thought. The affluent?
Yeah, here we go. Okay, this is from the Rainbow High Wiki. Terra Sands is a well-known and affluent voice actor working for many years. She is most famous for her dozens of roles. And I just laughed out loud.
That's a terrible description. I think they mean, what's the word when you just do? That is so dumb. Wait. What's the word I'm thinking they meant? Like when you...
has a bunch of jobs, like...
Wait, it's there. I use this word all the time.
Effusive?
No. Prolific?
Prolific, yes.
I think they meant prolific, and instead they gave a false representation of my wealth.
Oh, I just laughed out loud.
I have to find that.
I mean, maybe you're affluent and you only put it in your bio and you don't tell your friends.
The affluent
voice actor.
That's
Terra
amazing.
Sands is a well-known and affluent voice actor.
Hey guys, Tara here. If you are enjoying the 4Kids Flashback podcast, here is another podcast you will probably like. It's called the One Piece Podcast. They have been covering One Piece since 2009, so there are about 1 million episodes for you to listen to. Highly recommend it. They do all kinds of behind-the-scenes stuff, break down the shows, interview actors. You're gonna dig it. Go to onepiecepodcast.com or look them up wherever you hear podcasts. And you might even hear a familiar voice that sounds a lot like Steve Yurko. Check it out now. Thanks. Hey guys, Tara Sands here, and I want to let you know where Steve and I are going to be so we can meet you in person. I'll have something in LA coming up in September, Heroes Hideout, Albany, New York at the end of September, and I'll be in the Houston area October 12th. You can check out our Instagrams and Twitters and all that to find out where we'll be. Steve is at Steve Yurko, and I am at Tara Sands VO, and we hope to meet you in person real soon. Thanks for listening.
Okay, now for the lightning round.
I'm so good at lightning rounds. That's from Friends. It's my favorite show.
20 seconds on the clock starts now. Who is the captain of the USS Enterprise?
Oh, crap. Is it, Captain Stubing? No, Morgan? Crunch?
Next question. Which superhero is Tony Stark?
Stark. Did Game of Thrones have superheroes? I only watched 2 episodes.
What planet were Luke and Leia born on?
Planet Fitness?
Oh, time's up. Sorry. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Hey, everybody. Mandy Kaplan here. Please check out my podcast, Make Me a Nerd, where each week an incredible guest tries to baptize this mainstream mom into the world of sci-fi, fantasy, and all things nerdy. Available wherever you podcast.
That's our show, folks.
Wait. I just thought of it. Padme Amidala gave birth to her twins Luke and Leia on Polis Massa. No, that's dumb. Is it Planet Hollywood?
But I like that we're talking about our day jobs because that's the reality of anime. I mean, it's the reality of acting.
Yes.
Until your lotto ticket happens to hit.
Right.
And,
Well, I mean, listen, I was lucky. I did not have to keep my job as long as a lot of my friends did because I was working in a lot of areas of voiceover. So because I had the commercials and the Pokemon anime-ish stuff and the audiobooks, like a lot of people were only in one avenue of voiceover. So because I kind of diversified, I was lucky. And then I also did some on-camera commercial work. I did, I did extra work. That was a fun job in New York. That was when I first moved to New York, I signed up with all these agencies to do extra work. So that, because I wanted to learn how a set worked and I didn't know. And I mean, I was afraid that if I got any of these on-camera jobs I was auditioning for, I wouldn't understand what they were talking about. Like, back to one.
So smart of you. Yeah. So what should we look for you in the background of? What movies?
Oh, yeah. So I worked on two, The Devil's Advocate and The Devil's Own. One of them was
very devilish.
Yes, I was very devilish. But there's one scene where I was in a subway scene with Al Pacino and Keanu Reeves. I think that was The Devil's Advocate. And because I'm short and Al Pacino's pretty short, they put me like right in front of him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I got to see this.
Yeah. I mean, they just like pan. I think I'm wearing a hat. Like they just pan across from me till they get to him. So you can kind of see me. That was very exciting. And also,
did you go see it in the theaters and everybody cheered?
Yes, they all cheered. I don't know if I went and saw it. But I remember it being such an education because I got to watch Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino work together, and Al Pacino would kind of improvise and mix it up, and Keanu Reeves would like stick to his lines. And I was like, but it was fascinating. It was so interesting to watch. Yes. And like Al Pacino was like we were shooting on a subway, and he was like during a break, he's like, "Do you want my seat?" And I was like, "No, you sit."
It's not that kind of subway.
That's what I should have said. It's not. Megan, I love you so much. Oh my God, I love you.
Which
Few
is funny
people
since we
make
just
me
met.
laugh more than Megan.
Aw, that's what I would say about you.
Shut your mouth.
No.
Steve, do you have any questions for me?
No. I mean, Steve, yes, you can ask questions, but I am in charge. You have to ask me, not Tara.
All right. Yeah, I guess I'm going to ask for permission.
Oh,
That's
my
the new
God.
agreement on the
Permission
show.
granted, Steve. You may speak.
Because where we're at right now, because you're post-college, scrapping around for what kind of what were these birthday party gigs? Were you
I'm so
playing
glad
a
you
character?
asked.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I was in college, I started there was a summer I was like, I need a job, and I was going on auditions during the summer, and I learned how to make. There was a local company, and they were like, "Wait, you could go to kids' birthday parties and make balloon animals," and I was like, I don't know how to do that. They're like, "Here's a videotape." Here's a bag. They're like, here's a videotape, a bag of balloons, and like a hand pump. So it's a very phallic gesture when you explain the pump. So I went home. My parents and I sat in like the den and watched this video, and I learned how to make balloon animals. And they would send me to birthday parties. And that first one, I don't remember if I was dressing up yet. But then I got to college and I was like, oh, I should keep this as I should try to do this as a weekend job because I got to save money. So I met a company in Long Island, and they would I would have to wear like a Mickey Mouse, like the fake Mickey Mouse costume. Or I remember someone once sent me as Pocahontas, and I would sing the song for the kids because I was like, I guess I'll sing the song. I was like, I should not be Pocahontas. This is very wrong.
Wait, so you were Pocahontas and you blew up balloons?
Oh yeah, like that's what's so weird. And then like if you were in a Megan, it gets weirder. It gets so much weirder. If you were like in a Mickey Mouse costume, you had to like take the hands off and then blow up the balloons. I was like, this doesn't make sense.
And the kids are like, Mickey Mouse is a girl!
Totally. It was one time we had to go to a wedding. They wanted Mickey and Minnie at the wedding. So the partner I worked with, obviously, right? And we did the Macarena as Mickey and Minnie Mouse at this wedding and then left. Like, that was the whole thing. I had so many, and then like some kids were really sweet, but some kids were like mean, and they would throw candy at you.
What?
They would like the older kids, like you were there.
Steve
for like,
says, like
Steve,
he knows this. What's your direct experience?
No, not that I've ever done that.
I think you did. That was such
seen it done?
One time.
Yeah.
But I swear to God, it's because the person in the costume was making fun of me first.
Oh, yeah.
So I retaliated.
Oh, what? Wait. That's jerky.
When are we interviewing Steve?
Oh, yeah.
Next April.
Wait a second. First of all, it's not April that we're recording this. This is March. I don't know when this will air, but first of all, you have your dates wrong. Second of all, what is the story with that, Steve?
Yeah.
Oh, with that? Oh, I was at a roller skating rink for someone's birthday party. And I swear to God that the person that they had as like a costume character there, because I was like falling on my ass a bunch of times. My first time ever on roller skates, and I'm very uncoordinated. And I swear to God, I was looking over, and the person was miming, like kind of like hand on chest, leaning back, pointing and laughing. And I'm like, what the fuck?
That's mean. Okay, all right.
I would have thrown candy.
When he wasn't looking, I just walked. When his back was turned, just walked right up and gave him a swift kick in the ass. And they're like, don't do that. And I'm like,
that's funny.
I'm the bad one here.
I'm so glad you brought up roller rinks, though, because they played a very important part of my life. And I will say that to this day, no matter how much I accomplish, my biggest accomplishment was getting my name in the centipede machine at the roller rink.
Oh,
like, it doesn't matter. Pokemon, Schmokemon, I got my name
Centipede.
in that. Yeah.
I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
I wonder
So
what happened to
proud
that
of you.
machine. Did you have to like roll it across the street like George Costanza to
right? That's what I always think about now. But yeah, a lot of like junior high, like boy girl stuff happened at the roller. Like that was a big deal.
Okay, time out. I'm just gonna interrupt. No, I'm not going to interrupt. I'm going to remind everybody what we're doing here. This is the Megan Hollingshead show, and I am interviewing Tara Jane Sands. If you don't know who she is the center of your childhood. She played the roles Bulbasaur, Richie, Sammy, Oddish, Tori, Bugsy, Sissy, and Jasmine, and 40 other characters in the original Pokemon dub. So where did Pokemon fit in? Did your agent get you that audition?
No, I don't really know how I got that job. I remember for years, Larry Juris and I were like, he was convinced someone recommended me. I think there was an ad in Backstage newspaper that wanted demo tapes. I had a demo cassette tape.
You're so good.
With just like commercials on it, and I would deliver them all over New York. So I think they must have gotten my demo tape. I don't remember auditioning for Pokemon. Right. So I don't know. I wish I had a good story. It sucks that I don't have a definitive answer for that.
Actually, that's a really good story that you don't know. You were just like such a big star. Like, who knows where these things come from?
I was such a hustler, though. I literally, I mean, I poured over that newspaper and submitted to anything possible,
That's what I'm learning today is the hustle. It's a lot of work.
Isn't that a dance step?
You start now. You just might have a career yourself.
Yes, that's right.
So you did Pokemon.
Yeah.
You were in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shaman King, and then what? Yu-Gi-Oh?
No, I think the
Turtles,
order was
Shaman King.
No, Turtles was later, so I think it was.
I'll jump in.
Yeah, help me out.
Oh, thank you,
out,
Steve.
Okay, so Pokemon, that's like late 90s, so you're doing that. And if we're just sticking with 4Kids stuff, probably next, like in terms of like, named characters, probably would have been Yu-Gi-Oh! Because you would have been recording that.
Right, I think in between
2001.
I think in between that was
there
Tama and Friends.
Ultimate Muscle.
I wasn't really
Tama
on.
was first?
I know that like Ultraman and Tama, I think happened before Yu-Gi-Oh! But I wasn't big names in that. I have this weird recollection that I was Tama. I don't know why. I think that I must have like done a test.
That's what you told
for it.
Oh, you told me that.
I thought I was. But I don't know how I misremembered that because that would have taken a long time to do. Like, I think I must have done a test for it. But
you were probably cast
and replaced.
They replaced.
Probably. I mean,
that happened
to everybody.
Over and over. Yeah.
Well, it's the hallmark of 4Kids is to replace you and not tell you. It was their signature move.
That's showbiz. Yeah. Kid.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're into 4Kids.
Yes.
What do you, this sounds like a cop-out, but it's not. What do you want me to ask you? What do you want to tell us about your time as an actor at 4Kids?
That's a good question. I mean, it's so much of like what this podcast has become about. It's like, we all learned so much. Like my very first, I don't know if I've told this on the podcast. I've told this story a bazillion times, but I didn't know what dubbing was. I didn't know what anime was. I mean, if you said, Tara, do you know what anime was? I would have said Speed Racer. Like that would have been the extent of it. The word manga didn't enter my vocabulary. I wish it had. My very first day of work, I showed up and I saw Veronica Taylor in the booth. Luckily, because I was early, because Megan always runs late and I always run early.
She's got a disease.
I have a disease.
People.
I do.
She has a disease.
But luckily, I was early because I watched her dub and I was like, "Who is this beautiful pregnant woman doing this 10-year-old boy voice?" And it was like, that's what I wanted to say. Like, it was like an aha moment. Because I had always like done this kind of voice. Like that was like my one funny voice that I ever did. And it was like a little boy. And I was like, oh, maybe I could do that. So it was like all of a sudden this new world of work and art and whatever opened up to me. And I did some other I don't know if the timeline exactly, but I was also working for I did Celebrity Deathmatch around this time, and I did some.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so I was doing animation for I did a Cartoon Network pilot. I did some different stuff for MTV and VH1 shows.
Awesome.
So I was suddenly realizing if I want to do voiceovers, it's not just commercials. There's all this other stuff I can do. And someone said to me once and I was auditioning for everything, and someone said to me once, if you're knocking on the wall and you can't break it down. I don't know. They use some weird analogy, but if the wall just turns into paper and you're like, oh, this is easier, this is working. The voiceover stuff was what I was booking. I would get other stuff, but it wasn't consistent enough. I wasn't a dancer. It wasn't
as organic.
Yeah. I wasn't a dancer, so I'd go to a Broadway show audition and I get a dance callback or whatever, and I'd be like, oh no, and I just wouldn't go. I was like, oh no, I can't do that. I'm really busy that day. No one wants to see me dance, and there's not dancing in Sondheim. Just put me in that.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. So back to what I want to talk about with 4Kids. You and I think, had a similar thing in that, we knew pretty quickly that it was a really great job, fulfillment-wise, artistically. We enjoyed it. But we also knew how screwed we were getting. I think we both, I don't know that everyone had an awareness of that. So I, pretty quickly, knew that I did not want to work there forever. So I, did a test run in LA for a little while where I moved out there and I didn't really get anything. And I came back home after a few months. And I just wasn't ready to be in LA. But I knew that's where the animation I wanted to do was. And at that point, I was like, I like animation. I like voiceover. Audiobooks, there wasn't enough work. But that's the majority of my work now. If I had, that's fulfilling to me. As much as I loved the stuff we did at 4Kids. And I mean, more importantly, I loved all the people we were working with. I just liked.
Oh my gosh.
We just lucked out. It's just a good group.
Voiceover people are the best.
The best.
I mean, it's such a big difference going on on-camera auditions.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, there's a little bit of jealousy and looking out for who's here and who's not. And I go to voiceover auditions and people would tell me
about other auditions
or even about the audition they just came out of. Yeah. They're like, oh, you pronounce it like this, or
totally.
They'll give you this when you're in there,
Well, and I have some theories about that. I mean, because again, this is what we live with this in our brains. So when you go to a voiceover audition, there might be some other people, some other females in the room who sound like you. But when you go to an on-camera commercial audition, I remember my first couple, you'd go in and there's 25 girls who kind of look like you.
Yeah.
And it's weird. My mom went with me to my first commercial audition. She's like, I can't. Her anxiety was too high. And I was like, okay, whatever. I was young, But it's weird then when they also look like you and you're like, okay, it's not just, I don't just have to do a good job. I have to look right. I have to, all this, I've had on camera jobs where suddenly they're talking about my face in a way that I or whatever it is, or my body or my appearance. And again, it's not that I wouldn't do that again because I love working and I love being on a set. But with a voiceover, I felt, I don't know. I had to just.
We get out of that. We get to just play.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I get to be less self-conscious. I can look like an idiot. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's about the performance and, it's back to play.
Yeah, it really is. But I also felt like we get to use our voices. Like so many people at that who worked at 4Kids were singers.
Yes.
And I loved that because that we spoke a common language, in terms of the directors understood music and, singers know how to use their voice and make it do different things. So it's not a coincidence that a lot of them,
absolutely,
work in.
Absolutely. So I'm not a trained singer, but I play one on TV. But I've been in enough classes to hear the difference.
Right.
And I guess I'm saying this more for the people who listen who are like, how do I break in? Like, take some singing lessons, because the singers in every class I've ever been in are the most responsive, have the most range, can hear and do something back, do the best voice matches, like.
And listen, the truth, I'm not good at that. Like, I don't have a great ear. Like yesterday, I was in a session and Cindy Robinson, who's an awesome actress, was directing me, and she's like, "Hey, can I give you a line read on this?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And she's like, she was giving me the last part of the line. She's like, "I want you to go do it." Like she was giving me the music of it, and I couldn't get there from the line. And I'm like, Cindy, I can get it when it's alone. I can't. I'm like, give me the whole line, because my ear couldn't put it all together. Like, I'm not great at it, but again, it helps to even have had training. And you're great at, you're remembering the instances where you couldn't get it. Yeah.
What you're not taking into account is the things that just flow without your brain even registering that something just happened.
Possibly, but I also know, like, I can't do a voice match. Like, there are people who are mimics and they can hear a voice and match it. I can't. That's not my skill set.
Yeah, I've tried it. I have to work like a dog to get there.
Yeah,
and then I'll hear someone else who can just open their mouth and it floats.
And
I'm like, go to hell.
That's it. And so right. Screw you. But part of me is like, give it to them. I mean, that's their skill.
Exactly.
Like, I'm not, because I'd be so nervous once I got in the booth, if I got that job where I had to match someone's voice.
Yeah.
That, like, I've done it a few times, and it's so stressful for me. So it's not worth it.
It is. So I'm going to put aside, do we want to talk more about you, or should we go more into 4Kids?
It's totally up to you. You said you're driving this train. Do you drive a train or do you conduct a train? I guess.
Well, you drive. The conductor does something else. I'm driving, but I have to pull over and think. I need a coffee. So I'm going to say, while we're at 4Kids.
You're doing great.
Let's talk about. Oh, thank you. So nice. Let's talk about what you've learned in doing these podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, what did you learn that you didn't know?
Well, okay, so as actors there, like you and I have talked about this, we did not know all the changes happening to the shows. Like, I am still shocked. Also, I mean, listen, the amount of work that went into these shows, because we were the final piece of that puzzle or one of the last pieces of the puzzle before they were mixed sound-wise and sent out. I did not know the kind of work that went into it. And I remember being like, oh, why is this written so short? The line is this long. Or just not maybe having the respect I should have for the tedious work that these people were doing. Right. And really just the machine that went into it. I mean, just from acquisitions to the licensing department. I didn't realize how massive this company was and how young the people running it were, and the fact that it was it's a feat to get anything made and aired. And I have so much more respect. Not that I didn't. Like, I always liked meeting the writers or meeting behind the scenes people. Like, I knew the music department was awesome, and but it's an even bigger respect for the work they did, and a bummer that the changes had to happen, which is part of the reason 4Kids has the reputation it does. I mean, listen, I think it has a mixed reputation. Like, I again, you and I didn't know till we started doing conventions that people were so angry at 4Kids. But I'm seeing, like, all the sides of it now. I'm seeing like, okay, they had to do this, but maybe they didn't have to make that change that pissed people off. But okay, they were also rushing. And, you know, it all boils down to Michael Hagney's Jelly Donut story. Like, he just was trying to get it written. This was not an intentional slam against Japanese culture. This was, you know, and again, like we've talked about this on your interview, where just these were not about teachable moments. Yes, it was about Americanization, and that wasn't a dirty word then. And and fortunately, that's not the game plan now with things, and people are learning more about do get to watch something closer to the original. But at that time, that's what it was, and it was working for children out in a certain demographic.
Totally. One thing I was surprised about, life ain't a movie starring me. In other words, there was a lot of disgruntledness on the part of the actors about feeling like we weren't treated a certain way. And I realized how little we were on the radar.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, so much went into a show. It wasn't like, oh no, the actors are disgruntled.
Yeah.
You know? Please let us address all their needs.
Right.
I mean, no, they could have done better by us.
Well,
but
it was the way it was handled.
They weren't.
It was when you were replaced, you maybe weren't told. Oh. It was more just like, okay, we get that we're working for low wages comparatively to because again, I was doing other shows and I saw like, oh, this is what the industry standard rate is. This is what, and this show is huge right now, or whatever it is. Yeah. And, or I remember finding my voice in a toy, and it was depressing. I was like, oh, this should have been a separate payment, but they kind of own me, so it was weird like that, especially when we were struggling in New York. It wasn't like, I wasn't affluent. So, it was the way things were handled.
It was crappy. You're right. And I guess I thought they were plotting. I guess I thought they were plotting and fighting. I think I thought they were in a war with us.
Right.
And in fact, it seems like they just didn't think about us.
Right. It wasn't so aggressive, but then, listen, you told the story.
Was, though, too.
Yeah, you tell the story in your interview about that infamous meeting where we were told, like, we'll just go to Canada if you insist on getting paid certain amounts. And so that was, listen, they had to have a meeting where they were like, how much do Canadian actors charge? Like that. Yeah. So again, it wasn't like combative, but there were so many moving parts, and we were really just the final piece in a lot of this. So I understand it, but it also was a weird way to work, and to feel that replaceable was not a fun way to work. Yeah.
Oh, no. And I'm not justifying it all. I guess I thought it kept them up at night.
Right. No, I understand that. Yeah.
It just didn't,
Yeah, they were like, we'll get this made. Like, it doesn't, Yeah. With or without, if we have to replace them, we will. Although, but then in retrospect, I look at, like I was, in making the podcast, I was going over my list of like how many actors to interview. And there are actors who did a few roles, but like, again, the core group of us, there are 25 whatever actors doing all this work. And that's a big complaint about 4Kids, but it's because we worked fast.
Yeah.
And so in some ways it's like, well, do you realize that that's why we keep coming back? Like, do you realize that you have a core group here that's very efficient and helping your job, get these shows done?
Totally. I had a job, a campaign, and the agency who hired me was like, no, you have to keep Megan. She makes our jobs easier.
Right.
But the company that was getting the ads done was like, we think we can find someone to do it cheaper.
Yeah.
And, both of them were right. I made their life easier, but that didn't save any money.
Right.
So
I had the same when Megan, I should explain too, when Megan says she had a campaign, she means she had a commercial campaign job. She was the voice of the brand. And I had the same thing happen where I was making a certain amount. We actually, and even through the union, we were able to give them a lower rate because we were doing so many spots. And it was a supermarket and it switched companies, ad agencies. And I would go to, I suddenly started going to the sessions, and there was a non-union actor there who they were splitting my spots with to test her out. And they would book
while
us
you were there
at the same time. And I would sit there while she was, I'm friends with her now. It sucks. She was put in a really bad position. She would sit there practicing the scripts out loud, not knowing what was really going on. And then, I mean, there were times when I had to redo her spots, like, oh yeah, we did this with blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't good. You do. Cause she was, learning the job. And I would fix her. I'm like, so you're saying that you appreciate that I'm good at this, but yet you're still going to replace me with her eventually once you train her. Yeah, it was awful.
Once she gets better at sounding like me.
Yeah.
It was very for kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right, let me read some questions. Our friend Jen says, how'd you two become such close friends?
About our friendship. I don't know. I don't know.
I think we had some fun times in New York. Like, we went out several times. But I think what cemented the deal was me coming to LA and having, just glomming onto you.
Not
like,
you didn't glom
I don't know anybody else here.
Wait, I want to know.
Where do I go? What do I do? Can I sleep on your couch?
Well, no, because, okay, so let's go through that, because we were definitely friends at 4Kids, because I remember I remember hanging out with you and Lisa. Like, I remember a day in Central Park where we went ice skating. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And I think that was not far before I moved. So I think, like, we were like, oh, we should be friends, but we weren't, like, super, super close.
No. We weren't doing each other's hair at night or anything.
No, but
like
I wish we had. But
totally.
So you moved out to LA slightly before me? Because you left Yu-Gi-Oh!
No, after.
No, because you left Yu-Gi-Oh! Before me, didn't you? Didn't you leave in season 4 of Yu-Gi-Oh?
I think so. I left in 2004.
I moved in 2005. That's what happened.
But,
yeah.
But you already knew people in LA because you had been there before. Because you told me who to go meet.
Yes, because I had spent like a couple months here. So I knew I knew like Bang Zoom, and I knew a couple of the anime places.
Got it.
So then
that's how you told me what to do.
Yeah.
You gave me and I think you gave me MapQuest at one point.
I probably did.
Like
we were still, we didn't have GPSs at that point.
No.
Still printing those out.
Printing them out.
Isn't that crazy? Or Thomas Guide. Thomas Guide is something people in LA used to use, a big map book.
I wish I'd saved mine.
But then, see, this is where I'm confused. Why did you sleep on my couch? Were you thinking of moving back to New York?
Yes. So I lived in LA for 2 years. And then my lease was up in LA. And I still had my apartment in New York. And so I was like, I'm going back. And then, like, literally the day I was supposed to go back, I was like, I'm not going back. I'm staying in LA.
Okay.
And then I had no place to live. So I'm like,
Tara.
So I couch surfed for, I think, like a month. I stayed with you. I stayed with Sam Riegel. I think
I loved having you stay with me.
It was really fun. We made good roommates. Except for the time I left your screen door open.
You remember that. I don't. I probably was mad, though, because I was like, burglars.
You were mad. I mean, I would be too, And I was like, oh my God, nobody came in. Why are you so upset?
Because I'm type A. I remember, because I'm not a big drinker. I must have gone out and had like 2 drinks and came home very drunk. And so I can't hear vomit without throwing up. And I remember you.
Was I vomiting?
No, I was. And you were like so nice and talking to me through the bathroom door. And I was like, how is she doing that and not throwing up? Like if she hears me throw up, how is she not instantly? And then we only had 1 bathroom. So I was like, how is she okay?
This could be bad.
Yeah. So
I do not remember that.
I appreciated that. So I think that solidified our friendship.
The throwing up.
The throwing up, well, yes, and you sleeping on my couch. Yeah.
Yeah, those were good times.
And then you stayed in LA because you got you got that campaign.
Yeah, it was good that I stayed.
Yeah.
Although, who knows what the universe had planned for me in New York. It could have been better. There's no way to know.
You would have gone to all my dance callbacks and been the belle of the ball. That's what would have happened.
Well, I did take ballet when I was 9.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
obviously.
You were ready.
Okay. How are you able to voice kids at Mokuba's age?
Oh, like little kid voices.
Yeah. How do you do it?
I don't know. I mean, I think all of us.
Where's it coming
from?
Not,
like vocally.
Not vocally.
But I
not
think it's a
mentally.
combination.
Or
I think it is. I think it's actually more about the mindset. Like, I think all of us who are actors in general watch people in a different way than someone. I mean, listen, I think there's lots of non-actors who do that, but I think we're watching for those things. And I loved playing with the placement of that. Unfortunately, a role like Mokuba sits right on my vocal cords. There is like not... Erica Shorter can do it. I don't know how she does it in a healthy way. I went to so many voice coaches to try to figure out a healthy way to get that rasp, and there just isn't.
Did they all say just don't do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, working... Jonathan Todd Ross and I talked about this in his interview. Doing the voices at 4Kids kept me out of doing musicals. Like, it was sort of one or the other at a certain point. It was messing with my voice a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even Bulbasaur?
Bulba, yeah. It's
of
Bulbasaur,
course,
yeah. Not as bad for some reason because it's a little... I wish I could explain the intricacies of the vocal cords and...
Yeah, could you work on that for the next interview, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. But a lot of
anatomical chart.
Dude, so much of the stuff that I was cast in back then was really harmful for my cords. I'm lucky I don't have permanent damage. Yeah, it's a bummer.
Wow, we all are.
Yeah. To answer that question more too, when you're playing little kids, so it's about finding the voice, and it's like like for the little girl stuff or little boy stuff, but it's also just an attitude. I mean, the best advice I ever got, I took a class when I lived in LA for that short time with a bunch of different voiceover casting people, and I think it was Ginny McSwain, who I think she's retired. Her. Wasn't she great? I think she's retired now.
Cool energy.
She said, little lungs, little voices, little lungs, like they take more breaths. There's more, but which unfortunately doesn't work in anime because
of the flaps.
Well, because of the flaps, and I often don't think the kid voices in anime are as realistic as kid voices in other shows, which is why I think Disney and those shows tend to use real kids.
Yes.
Because if you're not allowed to take those breaths, which are such a big part of how a child speaks, there's a limit to how real it's going to sound.
Yeah. Oh, that's very insightful.
Thank you.
That's a good one. Who's your favorite Spice Girl?
I was never into the Spice Girls. I'll go with Baby.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go Baby Spice. Although I remember I had a friend who was at the DMV, and they were like, I think there's someone famous here named Mel B from the Spice Girls, because they just heard someone say Mel B, and they thought they were saying Mel B. So I kind of find that funny, and I'm going to go with that. Awesome. That was that was an ex boyfriend, and I'll tell this story because it's funny. So. This is how Pokemon comes back to like you guys who are listening, grew up with Pokemon. It's like this special place. Like for us, we were adults when we started working on it. So we weren't into the show in the same way kids were.
Right.
But so we kind of made fun of ourselves. So I started dating this guy, and his roommate really knew anime, and he found a clip of me singing the Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur sang in one of the episodes. And he would just taunt my ex around the apartment by blasting the Bulbasaur song. And I was so he didn't tell me about it at first. He's like, yeah, so he kind of plays this soundbite of you. And I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to live this down. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now I need that soundbite.
Wow.
Bulbasaur.
It's got to be our closing song.
It should be.
This episode.
Oh my God.
Can you sing any song like that? Could you sing the national anthem as Bulbasaur? Or,
Bulbasaur. Yeah. One of my favorite things... I love speaking... Well, I love that we used to be able to enunciate the Pokemon's name. Now it's more animalistic. But I did... My friend did a podcast... I don't know. It was a web show or something he did years ago where he was like, I want you to... argue with me about returning a toaster, but only say Bulbasaur or something like that. I find nothing funnier than that. Like, I was built for that because I remember in college I had a boyfriend named Kenny, and I would sing songs with just his name. Like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like Kenny, like Happy Birthday, like Kenny, 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 Kenny. And I would annoy the crap out of him, but
And who knew?
That
it was prepping you.
Yeah, basically Pokemon voices.
Yeah. Wow.
My poor exes, man. They were... No wonder I'm alone. Oh, my God. This is a different show now.
Stop it.
Okay.
Stop
Hi.
it. Okay, I will tell you. Here's the next comment. Ask her how she became so wonderful.
I think...
And what... And two people asked, is there a Pokemon you wish you voiced but didn't?
Oh, how I became so wonderful. Well, once you meet Megan, she just spreads her goodness all over you.
I'm sorry I
filthy.
can't sleep on everyone's couch.
Yeah.
Is all I'm saying.
But thank you for the nice comment. But the question was, is there a Pokemon I wish I voiced?
Yeah, two people asked that.
Well, okay, so it's not that I wish I voiced them. I wish I was capable of doing, like, a Togepi voice. Like, my voice doesn't do that. Like, I'm in awe of Rachel Lillis's talent. Like, she can do certain things with her, like, vocally that I cannot do. I can't roll R's. So that was kind of...
You can't roll R's?
No, and everyone's tried to teach me. It's not going to happen.
It's not teachable. I think it's
not
a
teachable.
genetic... I think it's a genetic thing. It's like...
I can't do it.
It's like...
Yeah.
Can you roll your tongue?
Mm-hmm. I can do the tongue roll thing, but I can't do it.
No, it's genetic. And it's...
Yeah. And it's so annoying.
It's devastating for people who live in countries where they're supposed to be able to roll their R's.
Well, I'll tell you what it's more devastating for. When you get cast to play a cat a lot and they tell you to do a purr sound.
Purr.
Like that, like, no, I can do like the I could do those, but I can't do the, like, that, like, soft, that. Yeah. And I think Eden Regal filled in for me on a show once where she did I feel like we were recording and they were like, Tara, just do like a soft purr. I was like, oh, no, I can't. Like, there's auditions that I have passed on because I know I can't do that. And I play cats more than you would think. Like, I play a cat in Boruto. I think it's in Boruto.
Tara Sands plays cats.
No, I really do.
Than you would think.
Like, I can do that. Okay, sorry.
First voiceover role, we know that you did a Wart commercial.
Yes.
But your first animation role
was Melanie.
Was for MTV?
No, it was
Melanie.
Was in Pokemon. So this is a fun tidbit. I was hired to play Melanie in the episode Bulbasaur in the Hidden Village. And we finished a little early, so they were like, hey, there's some other stuff we need to fill. Try doing this voice. And in that episode, I played Oddish and Bulbasaur, which Michael Hagney did not realize he was giving me this gift. They really just thought these Pokemon were going to show up in an episode or two and move on. Yeah.
Right. Did you audition by singing, Kenny, Kenny, Kenny?
Yeah. Is that weird? Yeah.
So you were in a major series on camera. You were in Cartoon Fridays? Cartoon Fridays or just Fridays?
Yes. Well,
Fridays, yeah. I definitely wanted to ask about this a bit. And this was after...
This was 2005.
Yeah, this is when
LA.
you moved to LA?
When I moved for good. Yeah,
LA.
But you had to commute to Atlanta.
Right. So so for those of you who don't know, so basically Cartoon Network from 2004-ish to 2006-ish or 7-ish had a show called Fridays. It was basically in between the commercials, me and this other actor would come on screen and annoy you and be like, watch this show. And we would do like sketches and we would interview celebrities and it was so much fun. But we were basically like the babysitters of the night. Like if you were a kid home on a Friday night, we were like, there were also other kids on the show that would, like, local kids would come on. It was so much fun. So basically the show shot in Atlanta. So I knew at that point I could live in LA, and they were doing a lot of extra shoots in LA, and I didn't want to be left out of those necessarily. So it was like a good time to move to LA because I was able to move with a job, which is a very different way of moving to Los Angeles than the first time I tried.
For sure.
Well, I mean, that was really one of the biggest issues the first time when you come out without a job. You know, I had started doing kids' birthday parties in Los Angeles because that first time I tried to move. So this was also, people took me more seriously.
Yes.
The weirdest thing about that job was I literally was shooting at Cartoon Network Studios, and all I wanted was to be a voice on the cartoons.
Yeah.
And no, that was not a thing. Like I was with totally different people. It never happened while I worked there. I remember having an interview with an animation agent in LA, and I was like, you don't understand. Like, I'm there. Like, someone needs to, no one figured out how to bridge that gap for me.
So you weren't like walking to the parking lot going, hi, oh, just me walking to my car.
That was the cutest voice ever, Megan. Why don't you do that more? You should be someone please cast her.
Better when I was going to suggest, I'm like, I don't know, just walk to and from the parking lot doing Marx Brothers impressions or something.
Right.
Well, we weren't necessarily, like, we were there over the weekend a lot of the time. We would kind of, we had fun though. We like would go walk around the offices because there's really cool artwork on the walls and cells and things. So we would like walk around the offices when we were bored sometimes. And we would like leave notes on people's, like I remember Tommy, my co-host, left a note on someone's Post-it that just says, I know what you did last summer. We would sometimes just like put someone's chair, like we would like just like rearrange. 12. Yeah. Oh, we got to behave like children. It was never anything like bad.
Yeah.
How often were you going to and from Atlanta?
So I was there we would shoot the episodes for the next month, the month before. So I would go for like 5 days or so, shoot 4 episodes usually. And then there would be like extra shoots. Like if we were doing a movie junket, we would, that would be a separate trip. So I mean, it kept me busy enough that like it was hard to, part of the only issue with that show, because I loved it so much, it was that I really couldn't commit to certain things because I was gone. And then, like, I would audition. They'd be like, well, are you going to be in town? Like, I remember even just a commercial audition. I was like, I am not going to. It was just the puzzle of the schedule. Yeah. So I would bring them. Like, that was around the time of the technology allowed you to, like, I brought, like, a cheap USB mic with me so I could still do some of my auditions when I was gone. Nice. But, yeah.
That's cool. So, going back to 4Kids.
Yes.
All you've learned, which now you're the holder.
Yes.
You're the holder of the stories. Would you have done anything differently?
Oh,
like
that's a great question. I don't think so. I mean, the battles that we had, and tell me what you think too. Like, I don't think there was a way to have raised those points. I don't know that they were in a place to hear what we were disgruntled about. So I think I would have, I mean, what I would have changed is knowing more about anime. I wish I had known about manga and I could read more about these characters than what was on the page, because I think it would have given me tremendous insight, like Mokuba especially, like Shaman King, these shows where I was playing, decent sized roles. I mean, maybe not fighting Foodons because that was just pure silliness. But yeah, like I think I would have. I wish I had treated them with a little more reverence. But I don't know that we were educated enough to do that. So,
right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not angry at myself for that. I just wish I had known more.
Yeah. I feel the same way. For a long time, I had anger about the whole situation. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. There might have been a time where I said I wouldn't have worked for them.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, I'm really proud of the work. I'm really happy with the friendships I've made. And, the fact that it's come around again and I get to meet people and it made such an impact on people's lives, and I get to be a small part of that.
Yeah.
Like, that's all good. So if I knew everything, I would probably still do it. Yeah.
Well, here's what I think, and tell me again, I think you'll agree with this, but it was, I watch people taking voiceover classes and doing all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, I learned on the job. Like
yes.
I said, if they said, can you do an old lady? Can you do a 2-year-old? Can you do a cat? Can you do that's where I got to learn while I was being paid, which is incredibly lucky. It's
true.
Allowed me to figure out what my voice can do and what I can't do. I mean, I just, and I'm also not afraid to say what I can't. Like if someone sends me an Australian accent, I go, no, I can't do that. Like I've tried. I've done it. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
So I think we got paid for an education in voiceover work. Again, there's still tons to be learned, and I still take classes, but it made me more fearless in the booth because I'm not. Yeah, right. Like,
good point. Yes.
Because we've done the cliche. I've talked about this book before. The 10,000 hours. Like, we put in our hours, our work,
right.
So that I'm not scared to go to a new job. I mean, once in a while, it's exciting when I'm intimidated because I'm like, that's exciting. It doesn't happen
this is
that
something
much.
New.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
But yeah,
That's
that was
cool.
our education. I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I am satisfied with your answers and your responses. If I have
Steve,
further questions, I trust I can email you.
Is Steve allowed to ask any questions?
Steve, you are allowed to ask questions.
I'm just very polite. I don't know. I'm always like, I don't want to interrupt the flow. This is good. And that's such a great question to end on. I don't want to be like,
no.
So let's jump back 10 years and talk about this character. I'm not going to do that.
No, totally
not that,
do it.
Not that that's what I wanted to do.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not what I wanted to do. I think just kind of, also just piggybacking off of this conversation here, I do find that, and even though like 4Kids, it was very like, quick turnarounds. Do you see there's less of that learning on the job in the industry? Or
you mean now?
Or do you think 4Kids was a very unique experience where you got to learn on the job as opposed to what it normally is? Because I don't know, I feel like if I could just share my own experiences.
Yeah, please.
Some of my early days, I got to, people took a chance on me and I still got to learn on the job. And I feel like now it's like, they just want a safe bet. They just want you. There's no teaching anymore. There's no getting comfortable with something new. It's just, they just want to just put you in a slot.
Yeah.
And churn shit out, and that's it.
I think that's true. Yeah. I think it's why I've had trouble breaking into work. Like, I haven't worked at certain studios because often they'll go to the people that they're great and they're super talented, but they'll go to the same people over and over because they know they deliver. Much in the same way people were probably annoyed with me at 4Kids. Like, right. They hired Tara again.
Yeah.
But I see that in places that I would like to work. So I don't know if it's different in that way, but I think there is something to be said for the tried and true, we know they can handle it. And that happens to me with anime for sure. But it doesn't happen to me with other things where I would like to be working. But I don't know, I think, it's funny, Steve has brought this up before. We didn't do Walla sessions at 4Kids. For people who want to know, who don't know what that is, it's like the background voices in a show. A lot of people get their start doing the background stuff on anime, and it's a great way to learn. So I think there are opportunities for that, where people can learn on the job like that. But but maybe, I don't know, it's a good question, Steve. I don't have a full answer.
I find a lot of bookings lately, if I have a small part, they book for 2 hours because that's the minimum, but they'll tell me it's only going to take 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Whereas at 4Kids, if you were booked for an hour, they were going to fill that hour. And it's sort of disappointing to be like, oh, I worked for 15 minutes. Really? You don't have anything else you can throw at me? And sometimes it'll be like, here's girl B, one line.
There'll be a couple things.
But they aren't like, hey, here's a character in the next episode. Now, she's 100 years old and, it speaks backward. But they're just not that on the fly anymore. Someone's already been cast, and they've got a 2-hour session where they're only coming in for 15 minutes.
I think that's partially true because in some ways, but I think it's also because they're casting more appropriately now.
Absolutely.
So I think there, and that's not always the case. But again, if there is a character with a certain ethnic background, whereas back in the day, we didn't think twice, unfortunately, about filling in those roles. Or,
right.
it also depended how many episodes they had in advance. We're talking about simuldubs now. So they only have one episode. Back in the day, they might have 3 episodes, and they're like, okay, we got this one in this script, this and this. Like certain shows, like I think like Boruto, I think they have more episodes at once. Or like when we did the Digimon dub, like they had more of them. So that happened more. They're like, okay, we need you to do all in like 5 episodes.
Right.
But like you and I worked on Bleach. Bleach, it was one at a time. That was a simuldub. And that's because you crazy people at home need your anime immediately.
Gotta get my fix.
Yeah.
Gotta get my Bleach fix.
So Steve, I think simuldubs changed some of that, maybe that learning on the job stuff, because they're like, we got to knock this out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're right, too, that casting appropriately.
Thank God. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's time. Yeah.
Yeah. I just put together a new character comp, and I'm like, I shouldn't have done her.
Yeah.
Her,
and I feel really shitty about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, listen, there's also stuff like, in one of our interviews, I don't know when this is going to air, so I don't want to give anything away, but like one of the actors was saying like they played an effeminate character, and maybe that shouldn't have happened, that even though this was a gay actor, like there are just certain things that, again, were not on our brains, and I'm sorry they weren't. And yeah, and it is unfortunate in certain ways that some of these shows are going to live on forever because they're not letting us go back and re-record them the right way. Right. I wish they would, but that's just not what's happening.
Oh, that's interesting. Is anybody ever going to go back and redub the original Pokemon? I don't think so. The anime was so...
I don't know. I mean,
it's not as sophisticated as it is now.
They remake shows that I'm shocked about. So... shows that I'm like, that doesn't need a reboot, or movies, or so nothing surprises me. I wish we could go back and redo Slayers with like updated animation. Like there's certain shows we did back in the day that I'd love to do again. Like with updated animation, and
let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, Megan, get on that.
I will.
You have so much time, free time.
Listen,
I know.
Let's end this Zoom meeting and start a new one about reviving Slayers.
Well, you have an outro to record, you two, so I'm going to get out of your way.
Okay, take it away, Steve. Okay. Well, wait. I know it.
You have to say goodbye to me, Megan. You have to say goodbye to me, because then we do the stinger that comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then what's the outro? What do I say?
Well, no, first thank me for being here.
I know, but then what do I do?
I'm keeping all this in.
And then we kind of like... We might just be like, well, that was like, it's like, that was
sucked.
Great. We might talk about,
We talk about me.
Mostly we talk about it suck, it's sucking.
Yeah.
But
like, God, that was a terrible guest. They should not be invited back. Terrible guest.
Okay.
So, thank me.
Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to me, Megan Hollingshead, interviewing the great Tara Sands. This has been so much fun. Tara, thank you. Thank you for letting me sit in your chair.
Thank you for having me on my favorite podcast.
Thank you. That's all because of me.
Okay, bye.
Bye. So, Steve, that was fun.
Yeah, that was a great time. I'm glad I finally got a chance to talk to Tara Sands.
Isn't she amazing? The great Tara Sands.
Fantastic.
I thought you might give her a little stinger or something. Like you might have a little, oh yeah, who's the boss now? That kind of thing.
No, it's because I think, in all honesty, I think she is this podcast, 4Kids Flashback. I think, I don't want to speak for her, but I feel like her decision to start this podcast was like a fantastic idea for her, because she's just cut out for this.
Totally.
I think like her, I don't know if it's the time doing Fridays or not, but like just the interview chops.
Right.
I think she always knows how to keep a conversation flowing.
Yes.
Where
I'm going to interject because I thought Megan was really good at it and made it look easy. Okay, bye.
You are not allowed to be here. We dismissed you.
Yeah, get out of here. Come back to your trailer. God. No, I just think Tara's just been like awesome on the show. Like she's been able to, have a conversation with some of her peers and people she's never had conversations with, but we get so much information out of it. But also she just knows how to like make it like fun. It's not stilted at all. So
I know she should have, she should be on NPR or something more fun than that.
But then there's Megan Hollingshead and
oh my God,
Tara's
no
got a
one
long way to
compares.
go.
Yeah, right? I know. I really
learn from
am.
the professionals, Tara. You know?
Right? I just really am good at this, honey, and you'll get there one day. No, this has been super fun. I'm really spoiled to get to, like, you guys do all the work and I jump in and get to play. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. No, it's been was it Herculean? Is that the adjective again?
Yeah.
Just this effort. Like, I'm amazed by how much we've gotten to cover so far, and it's a lot of Tara just texting some old friends and stuff like that. But very type A person.
Yeah, she's total type A, and she's very Lois Lane. She's been very much the investigative reporter on this.
Exactly. Yeah,
and that's been
dedicated.
Super fun. So, so thanks for listening. How do we say this shortly, in a short way?
We'll give people
do 5 stars and
all
give
that.
a thumbs
Say
up.
Something nice.
Subscribe. Listen.
All our links, you could go to our website, 4kidsflashback.com, number 4. If you want to listen to the next week's show a week early, ad-free, you sign up on our Patreon, and we also have cool...
Yeah, the Patreon page is awesome. I don't say that lightly. You get lots of good stuff. It's totally worth it.
And that stuff is just some like exclusive streams of some lost episodes of shows, any cool stuff we find. People send us like some old scripts and all that. We like posting that on there. And
so do it.
We got a merch store too. If you like the show that much and you just want to rep our logo on some form of article of clothing or accessory, I would go check that out as well.
Go shopping. It makes a great Mother's Day gift. Easter. It makes a great Easter gift. Yeah.
Easter.
Yes.
Labor Day, whenever this is going to come out.
It's fantastic. Gift giving is done. All right. Thank you again. Goodbye. Good luck.
And we'll catch you next time.
4Kids Flashback is a production of Maji Media, hosted by Tara Sands and Steve Yurko.
Producers are Zach Logan, Tara Sands, and Steve Yurko.
For more information, go to 4kidsflashback.com. That is the number 4. And if you worked at 4Kids and have a story you want to share, please email us at 4kidsflashback@gmail.com.
You can find us on social media at 4kidsflashback, and to listen early and ad-free, head to patreon.com/4kidsflashback. For podcast merchandise, find links on our website and Linktree.
As they say on every podcast, if you liked this show, please subscribe, rate, and review, and tell your friends, or 4. If you want to check out other Maji Media podcasts, go to maji.media. Thanks for listening. Hey guys, Tara here. If you are enjoying the 4Kids Flashback podcast, here is another podcast you will probably like. It's called the One Piece Podcast. They have been covering One Piece since 2009, so there are about 1 million episodes for you to listen to. Highly recommend it. They do all kinds of behind-the-scenes stuff, break down the shows, interview actors. You're gonna dig it. Go to onepiecepodcast.com or look them up wherever you hear podcasts. And you might even hear a familiar voice that sounds a lot like Steve Yurko. Check it out now. Thanks.